Good morning and welcome to another week of my allotment. 2 weeks since I made the last video. We've had a week away in Portugal with my youngest son and his family, and so I had a week away from here. 1st of June today. Is that the start of summer? I think so. It's actually the first time I've opened up a video before the official dawn. It's 4:54 and I don't think dawn is till about 4:57, so I've got here before the sun actually is just about to come over the horizon. Driving in here this morning, it's only a 7 minutes drive from my door to my shed, and it's, when the sun is shining, or when it's about to shine, it's a truly beautiful view across the River Severn, which is the river that some of you have commented on that forms the view that way to the east. So yeah, I've got all day up here. I've actually got all weekend, but although today is meant to be the warmest day of the year so far, tomorrow there's a low moving in across the United Kingdom, and I think we might get a little bit of rain. We're desperate for some rain. We've had a bit of drizzle here and there, and some people said, oh, it's rained heavy for an hour. It hasn't rained heavy for an hour. We've had a little bit of light rain, and it hasn't even touched the top of the soil, so we desperately need some rain. So if tomorrow's a washout and I can't do anything here, I won't grumble, because I'm getting fed up watering everything. And I have been better about not watering. I mean, I couldn't help it. I was away for a week. My eldest son, David, came up a couple of times and did a lot of watering. And John, my next door neighbour, but one here, very kindly came over and did all the stuff as well. So between John and my son, I haven't lost a single thing, and that includes the greenhouse at home. So it's always good to have friends and family to help, because you can't go away for more than a week with an allotment. You lose everything. So, and I'm not complaining about that. So yeah, I'm very happy that I've been away for a week, and there's a few, the weeds have obviously had a free week away from the hoe, so I've got a bit of work to do, but I'm really pleased to be up here. That's why I got up so early. All day up here, quite a few things to do, nothing majorly important. However, the big job of the day is to get the pumpkins in. Part of the contract here, or part of the agreement, is, apart from the fact that all the excess produce goes to the farm shop, is that we must produce 5 pumpkins per plot that go to the farm shop for Halloween. And of course I've got 2 plots here, so I've got to produce 10 pumpkins. And I've only got 1 bed in which to do it, so they might be a little bit compact in that bed, but we'll see. The first year I grew pumpkins here, I got 2 or 3 pumpkins per plant. Last year I only got 1 pumpkin per plant, so I'm not quite sure how many plants I've got. We'll have a look at that later, but they've got to go in, and we'll see what happens. More sweet corn. I've got more sweet corn, and again, you go away for a week. Whereas normally you watch everything every day, I go straight to my greenhouse when I get up and I have a look in there. I'm thrilled by it. In fact, that reminds me, I've left the greenhouse door shut at home on the hottest day of the year. Oh well. Yeah, when you go away for a week, you come back and you really do see an improvement in things. So that was nice. So all the sweet corn has grown on a fair bit, and that and the pumpkins to put in. What else have I got to do? Hoeing. Hoeing, hoeing, raking, hoeing, weeding, hoeing. Yeah, so not the most exciting day's work, but all very necessary, because if you want really good veg, the worst thing you can do is let the vegetables compete with the weeds for water and for space and light. So whilst it's not the most exciting and thrilling activity, it is vitally important. And again, I won't be doing that little and often. I'll be doing lots and lots of it all day long. Anyway, the question is, do I have a cup of tea and then start, or do I make a start and have a cup of tea later? You see, allotmenteering isn't relaxing. These questions haunt me all day long. Cup of tea or work? It's got to be a cup of tea, isn't it? Right. Let's get the stuff out the van, sit it on the table and see what I've got to do. I hope you can see all this. This is what I've got to put in today, not a massive amount. So, starting with the French climbing beans, that's cobra. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's another 10 to go in. I've only got one row left on the 2 supports, so that'll complete the French climbing beans. This is interesting. These are a garden pea. Here, this was given to me by a friend who got them from a talk she attended at Chepstow Garden Centre by a chap who produces heritage seeds. It's called P. Robinson, and he extols the virtues of the heritage seeds, and personally anything that is old, traditional in the way of seeds, that's what I go for, because in my humble opinion, modern seed producers are looking to try and produce new varieties that are more palatable, i.e. Brussels sprouts that are sweeter. Well, the reason you eat Brussels sprouts is to get that bitter compound, the nitrilicides and so on, that are incredibly healthy. And by breeding them out, making them sweeter so children and other people will eat them, you're missing the whole point. So anything that's an F1 I try and avoid. I do grow F1s, but if I can find a heritage variety, that's what I go for, because the people years ago weren't growing for yield, they weren't growing for sweetness, they were growing for health, and that's what I'm doing it for. So these peas I'm absolutely thrilled with. Look at those. These were planted in the same gutter at the same time. This is a modern variety, and that's a heritage. I mean, if ever anything painted a picture about why modern agriculture is doomed, and us along with it, look at that. Fantastic. So thank you to Marilyn for gifting me those. I'm thrilled with them. Then here's my sweet corn. Again, I've got a few already in, and these are going in today. I'm hoping they should finish the bed. I don't grow that much of it. It's lovely when we pick it and eat it, but I don't really have a great... I grow it really for the novelty of the plant. I just love the plant. And then here's the pumpkins. Now, I should have counted them before I switched the machine on, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I've got 14 pumpkin plants. One of them I know is Cinderella, and the other one, this one, is Charmant. Charmant? So 2 types. And you know, they're not grown to eat, although I suppose some people may do. In the UK we really don't eat pumpkin generally. We do the Halloween thing. So that's what they're really sold as, Halloween pumpkins, which is why the Cinderella pumpkin particularly is the classic bright orange, the right size for carving and all that stuff. And the Charmant looks by the seed packet to be the same, so I thought I'd try 2 different types and see how I get on. So that's what I've got to put in today. That isn't going to take me that long, but I'll be really chuffed to get the pumpkins in. And looking at my plot, I think that's the last crop that's got to go in the ground. There are other things. My leeks are being, although I've got the wire around the leek bed, there's clearly birds landing and nipping off the odd leek. Not a tremendous amount, nothing to worry about, but I've got reserves. So there's still some things to go in, and of course the bit I'm really bad at is the successional. So I've got some fantastic looking lettuce and wonderful spring onions. So the key for me, it's not just about a one-off hit crop. I've got to do that successional thing. So when we got back from Portugal, the first thing I did was go into, not the first thing I did, but I went into the greenhouse and sowed another tray of lettuce. So I've got more to do like that. So, but that said, that is the last crop I've really got to get in the ground. So maybe that is a significant moment. One other thing of significance, something rather strange happened to me the first afternoon I came up here after Portugal. I was desperate to get up here to see how the allotment was and water a few things. Actually, I didn't really need to. As I've said, John and David did the job for me. But a lady approached me on the site. Never seen her before, and she was clearly walking straight at me. And she walked right up to me and handed me this. And she said, "It's a gift for you." I said, "Thank you very much. What is it?" And she said, "Well, read the card." And the card says, "Open only in an emergency." Have you guessed what it is yet? It's a bag of tea bags. She's obviously watched my videos. Heaven only knows how she found them. I don't know how you found them. But she's very kindly put together an emergency supply of tea bags. And so, in fact, it's got a British Red Cross card. That's how important this mission is, that the British Red Cross have got involved, he says, tongue-in-cheek. So I now have an emergency supply in a rather neat blue velvet bag that is hanging in my shed, and never again will I be caught out without tea bags. So thank you to Betty. Betty spelt with an IE, not a Y. Thank you very much to Betty. Only a woman could think of that. Only ladies are that thoughtful that she's put together a small gift for a fella she's never met until the other day. Aren't people wonderful? This allotment community is something I've never come across before. In this harsh, unforgiving world, there are people on allotments doing good things. So, yeah, lovely. Right, that's enough talk. This needs to go back in the shed. Hopefully, never to be opened if I get my admin squared away. How long does a tea bag last? Don't know. Right. The other thing, I'm stood here and out of camera shot are two beds full of ripening strawberries. What a thrilling moment. And Bridget yesterday, in fact I will take the video camera over later and show you. Bridget is growing a type of strawberry called Phoenix. I've never seen strawberries that big. Unbelievable. So when she's not looking, I might pinch a few. I'm joking. I'm hoping to get a couple of runners off her. If not, I'm going to look out for those plants and buy some. Never seen anything quite like it. So we'll have a look at that later. Right, to work. Okay, so I hope you can hear me. These are the sweet corn I've got here now. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are already in. And I'm going to grow a total of 25. Of which I've got about 20 up here, and I've got a couple more small ones back in the greenhouse. So these are going in now, and yeah, they're going in now. Nothing more to be said really. This bed has been pre-manured back in the autumn. So what's that, 7, 8 months ago now? This was dug over thickly with well-rotted manure. And you won't be able to see it on the camera, but in a previous video I showed you I put beetroot all the way around the edge because I don't have a dedicated beetroot bed this year. The runner beans are growing away fairly well now to make the arch. So there's just this to do. So let's get on and do it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got my maths wrong, haven't I? That's 16, so 17, 18, 19. It's not 25, I'll have 20 plants in here. That's why you should do your times table at school, kids. I've got 18 in now. I've got about another half a dozen back in the greenhouse, so 2 spares is all I need. I won't be wasting the others, I'll put them in somewhere, but they're in now. All I've got left to do is label them. Sweet corn Golden Gate, sown on the 26th of April, planted here on the 1st of June. Not grown that one before, so I'll be interested to see how that goes and how tasty they are, and I will report back to you. So they're in. All that's left to do now is give them a good water. I won't bore you with it on the video, but I am also going to put in a cane next to each one of these and then tie them in. My experience is that even when they get larger, we get such strong winds across here, and there's very little between the wind and my plot to ease it, that they cannot quite often get knocked over. So I will be putting in a cane, tying them in as they grow a little bit. They'll be okay at the moment because the wind will go over the top of them, but I will be tying them in. And then as they get a bit bigger, and because they're a block, they sort of self-support, I'll take the canes away and they'll be flying solo. So yeah, let's get them watered. Job number 1 ticked off the list. This is the pumpkin bed, and I've got 2 kinds of pumpkins, as I mentioned previously. This is pumpkin Charmant, and that's a wonderfully healthy looking plant. Quite how healthy they'll look in a week or 2 out on the ground, we'll see, but I'm going to position them. I think what I'm going to do here, this bed has already been manured again back in the autumn, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my wheelbarrow and bring over some well-rotted cow manure, and I'm going to dig a small pit or hole for each pumpkin plant, put a bit of that in the bottom, put a tiny bit of soil back over the top so it doesn't burn the roots, and plant them that way so that there's a moisture retentive base underneath each plant, so that hopefully the watering won't be quite so onerous this summer. We may have a wet summer, who knows. Last year was stinking hot, and we had to water a fair bit, but we'll see. So I think what I'll do is I'll position these out and then go and get some muck. Now I know it looks like I've got one gap. There's one gap there in the middle, but one of those pots has actually got 2 plants in it. Each pot was sown with 2 seeds, and 2 of them have come up in one pot, so I'll put that in the middle. Now I know that I really should have half the number of pumpkins in that bed. That is way too many for that bed, but with my usual superb planning, I simply don't have the space. And another issue I will have is, as they start to run and trail, is curling them around to keep them inside the bed. You've only got to be away a day or 2 and they will come out through the wire, and I won't, because they're through the wire and they're growing on, I won't be able to bring them back in. So I already know I'm setting myself up for problems because I've put so many in a bed. But I'm not going to worry about it. If I've got a pumpkin already on the plant and it goes through the wire, I'll chop it off, and then it can concentrate on that one pumpkin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 plants in there, 15 pumpkin plants, and all I need is 10 pumpkins to give to the shop. We don't use them ourselves, we don't celebrate Halloween, I don't do any of that, so I just need them for the shop. So 15 plants, I need 10 pumpkins. Even if they're overcrowded, that should reap what I need, so who knows. It's exciting, isn't it? No, it's not. No, it's not. Anyway, let's get them in the ground. This is going to take me a bit of time, so I'll come back to you once it's done. I won't bore you with the shipping in of the manure. The battery won't last that long. Might have a cup of tea first, mind. It's 5:45 for God's sake, and I haven't wetted my whistle. Quick update on the spinach. This is spinach matador, and I'm sad to declare that, as with all spinach I've ever grown, without any exception, it's going to seed. Now, I don't know that because that's going to seed, I hope you can see that, whether that's still edible. But I've never had success with spinach. Now, whether that's because I'm sowing it at the wrong time of year, I followed the instructions on the packet, whether I'm not watering it enough and it's drying out, I simply don't know. If anybody knows, please leave it, or has any ideas, please leave a comment below, because I simply haven't got a clue. Every year I try it, and again, this is part of the Kitchen Garden magazine King's Seed trial. So I shall have to report back that, it's all gone. I mean, it hasn't all gone, but it will do. I'll try a few of the leaves. I'll put them in a salad and we'll see how we get on. But yeah, they've bolted. Hey ho, never mind. Something else can go in there. It might burn smoky, but it certainly boils water quick. We're going to have to leave that a second because it's ferocious. The trouble is, when you lift the Kelly kettle off, anything that's burning inside is left and can spill out. So you have got to be a little bit careful, as I'm about to demonstrate. Don't try this at home, kids. Cheers. I'm not even going to put my lips anywhere near that. Right, well, they're all planted. I've just got to label them and water them. Turns out, this one over here is not a pumpkin at all. It's cucumber market more. And of course, when I look at it, I can see it's a much more trailing plant already. So I should have spotted that. So I've put it in anyway. I don't mind picking cucumbers in amongst the pumpkins. So I've got to label them in a little more detail now and then water them. Well, the sun is finally starting to pierce and warm everything up, so it is going to be a hot one. And when I shut up in a minute, you'll be able to hear the bees. There are hives about 200 or 300 metres away across the field, and the bees are swooping in round my van and collecting water. Apparently, talking to the chap who owns the hives, they use water to make the honeycomb cells that they have in the hive, so they collect this water and take it back. But at the height of the day, and I'm recording it now simply because the wind will pick up and you won't be able to hear it, but the pond is absolutely humming. It's absolutely lovely. I get my chair, and when the shade comes round this side and I sit here with my cup of tea, I don't bother them, and they're all around me, hundreds and hundreds of them. I don't bother them and they don't bother me, but it's absolutely wonderful to watch. And unfortunately, inevitably, a couple of them miscalculate where the water is and they drown, but the vast majority collect their water and fly on back to the hive with it. Yet again, this pond just keeps giving me more and more pleasure. It's only about, I don't know, 1.2, 1.3 metres square, and yet I gain so much from it. And so does the wildlife, more importantly. Wonderful. Well, that's all the planting done. That's the sweet corn, the peas, one cucumber and some pumpkins all in the ground. So all the beds are now planted. So for the rest of the day I'm going to use my hoe and my Chillington potato hoe to earth up the potatoes and weed all the beds. That's the rest of my day, and it's 10 to 8 and I'm here till at least 6. So better get started, hadn't I? Okay, that's the first lot done. Now the main crop. Well, I'm now going through each individual bed and weeding, and picking off the lower leaves of the Calabrese and the Kohlrabi that have been eaten by slugs. This is Calabrese Monclano, or broccoli. But the bit I want to show you is the Kohlrabi. It all looks a bit cramped because it's been under that piece of environment that's too small. But as I'm weeding, the beauty of weeding is you get up close. And I have a fully formed Kohlrabi there. I think that's big enough to pick and eat. Only trouble is I need to know what you do with it before I pick it, because I want it to be fresh. So I shall do a bit of research tonight. I have no idea what you do with a Kohlrabi. If anybody knows, please let me know. Can you eat it raw? Do you put it on salads? Do you boil it? I have no idea. I should know by now. I've been growing them for a couple of months, but there you go. I'm really pleased. That's a first for me. Kohlrabi. Right, so far it's lunchtime, or just gone, 1:30. So far I've planted the pumpkins and the French climbing beans. What else did I have? Anyway, it's all planted, and I've weeded several beds. I've earthed up potatoes. Now what I've got to do is, I've done some watering. I've got to put the sticks in with the pumpkins and put the bottles on ready for watering. I've got more hoeing and weeding to do around the leeks on the little plot I've got at the bottom. I want to turn one of the compost heaps. That's quite hard work. Don't know whether I'll do that in this heat. So yeah, a few more things to do, and then about 5 o'clock my wife and oldest son will be up, and hopefully we'll have a small barbecue. Picked a good day for it, so let's hope they turn up. Right, back to work. So a quick tour of the plot. Potatoes now all earthed up. Still got some weeding to do around the French dwarf beans and more earthed up potatoes. Interestingly, the 2 courgettes that are in the compost heaps are doing far better than the ones in the prepared ground. The broad beans have got black fly infestation. I didn't take the tips out soon enough. Still got something to learn there. Beans, runner beans are starting to move up the arch. Sweet corn, saw that earlier. That Swiss chard is running to seed, that's got to come out, and I've got more to go in. The garlic has got rust. The Germidor look okay, but all the Marco variety have got are going to seed. Still usable, but they won't store. The purple snap magnolia peas and all the other varieties are looking good. Lots of flowers forming. I've been weeding endlessly today. The leeks are all weeded. The raspberries are weeded. Again, they're not looking that good in this row here. I had no idea why. Pumpkins are all in. Butternut squashes all still look a bit drab. Don't know quite what's going on there, but we'll see. Lots and lots of gooseberries. Slightly worried because they're not quite ready to pick yet, but the moment they are, the blackbirds will pick them before I do. Strawberries, lots of red strawberries there to pick. I'll do that later. I've uncovered and weeded and recovered all the brassicas. I have kohlrabi ready to pick under there, which is fantastic news. Brussels sprouts are all coming on great, looking good so far. Beetroot coming on. We've got rain forecast this week, so I haven't watered them, they'll be fine. And parsnips look good, bit of weeding needed there. I'm just sort of running out of energy and enthusiasm for the weeding. I've done about 6 hours of it today, so I can even see and hear the bees from here on the pond. The flowers all around the shed are looking wonderful, as is my loo, and then the corn salad, other lettuces and so on over there that you've seen. And it's the same with the blueberries, they're all fruiting up nicely now. I'll need to get some sort of netting on those as well. In fact, I might do that next, otherwise Cheryl will give me an earful when she gets here later. So yeah, all looking very good. As is the whole site. Wonderful to see. A few people have been up today. Everybody's working very hard. The whole site is an abundance of flowers, vegetables. It's all looking good.
I thought you meant Mighty. Merlin.
I'm hoping there's a barbecue in there somewhere. Hello. Have you managed it?
I think so.
Good.
Yeah, got all this stuff. Just preparing the vegetarian skewers.
Oh, there's another bit of pepper, David.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh dear. What
Bit of
else is there to
onion.
put on
Bit
there?
of
Onion?
Another bit
This
of
is a
mushroom.
first for the Jordan family. A vegan barb. Well, it's not a vegan, is it? It's got halloumi. But apart from the halloumi,
It's a veggie barbecue. There's no meat involved.
No.
Perfect, that'll do. Okay. need
That's
something-
mine. Just got to do yours and Mum now.
Where can we put it so we can do another one?
Language.
Yes. A vegetarian. In fact, that's vegan, isn't it?
That is, yeah.
A feast for the eyes. Let's hope it tastes good. Your verdict, dear?
Yummy.
Good. A success.
Definitely.
Right, thanks very much for watching. Thanks to those that have subscribed, and I'll see you again next week. Bye for now. Cut!